Welcome to the third episode of the Netfor podcast. I think we're calling them episodes. We have Jeff Medley, who is our CEO, founder, and personally my father. So we can dive right into that little tidbit.
Hello, Ian.
Thoughts on nepotism in the workplace? That's your first prompt.
Well, it's necessary sometimes. Very, very happy to have you in the company. And I learn a lot from you every day, as I'm sure you learn a lot from me every day. So
I sure do.
Been a great adventure so far.
Yep. Sweet. So tell me about your role in the company, where Netfor started, how you've seen technology grow over the past 31 years, I think. So tell me about where you've come from and the journey so far.
Yeah. So 31 years, started back in 1995. And always been a problem solver. That's kind of as a mechanical engineer by trade. I've always tried to fix things. I used to take apart toys when I was young and figure out how they worked rather than play with them. And then that turned into motorcycles and some engines. And so I kind of looked at that as probably the passion that I have in starting Netfor. About 1996, 97 was the real thrust of personal computers hitting the market from Gateway and Dell. So we got on that bandwagon early on at Netfor, building systems. That quickly disappeared as those companies ate up all the margin, and we got into services, which is really where we love to solve problems. So in the service side, we started doing on-site visits at Netfor. That started our on-site field services. We quickly went into fulfillment, where we started doing logistics for our clients and lifecycle management of hardware, and then eventually service desk and customer service. So we started doing the business process of IT help desk and customer service call center. And that brought us to today.
All right. So those 5 to 6 services you just mentioned, those have always been the foundation of what Netfor does. Tell me about the new adventure you're getting into with AI and where Netfor's heading with that new service offering. I know that's going to be quite a large umbrella of what we do in the coming years. So tell me about what you envision that going.
Yeah, that's a great question. So to be honest, the industry of customer service and IT help desk it's very mature, and it's been a lot the same for decades, if not multiple decades. There's been slight improvements over time, but ultimately someone has a problem. They call a phone number or email. Someone answers it. Someone references either their tacit memory or a piece of paper or a computer-generated knowledge article. They troubleshoot, resolve that issue, and hang up the phone. It's been that way for many, many years. Scaling that with regard to the knowledge has been quite expensive. So all the knowledge that we use has to be created and managed and archived and improved, and essentially that entire life cycle managed by humans. And so we've never been able to cure that. It's always been an expensive part of what we do. At Netfor, for example, we have a whole team of knowledge managers, and they're managing that pool of information for our clients. And so what AI has done is it has allowed us to scale that and manage that life cycle of knowledge more quickly, more efficiently, and deliver it to those that need it in a more productive way.
Yeah. And that kind of segues right into the theme of today's episode, is being AI ready. How did you know that Netfor was ready to get into the artificial intelligence space? Was there a checklist you had in your head, or were we already at a point where our processes were so good that we could kind of just layer it on top to enable our knowledge managers and service delivery agents to perform their job?
I wish I had that crystal ball 2.5 years ago, but I didn't. Honestly, we got into the development of AI for fear more than anything. Early
you didn't
on,
want to get left behind.
Yeah, because early on in AI, as the talking heads were discussing its impact it was going to have on the economy, customer service call centers and IT help desk were the first on the chopping block. They could see that, hey, this tool is really good. You can ask it a question and it will give you an answer really quickly. So, hey, that must be very similar to a call center, and therefore call centers are going to be at risk of being replaced by AI. So that was the initial entrance and consideration in our strategic plan, which was 3 or 4 years ago. As we were looking at AI and what to do about it, it really started out of fear.
Yeah. And do you think that's a big reason why so many companies trying to implement AI today are having trouble because of fear of their business being...
We have Netfor delivering our services for us now. Look at that over there. We can implement an AI LLM, and all of a sudden we don't need the services of the humans over here. So that was that initial fear, was of the unknown and how easily, if at all, it would be to implement and replace customer service call centers like ours.
Okay, cool. What do you hear from companies that have tried AI that don't feel like it landed? Are you hearing anything from other companies, like people in your network saying they tried this, it didn't work?
Yeah, operationalizing AI and then turning it into a return on investment or a reduction in cost or any part of a strategy, we've learned over the last 2 or 3 years that there's more involved than just turning on a switch.
Yeah.
So when you speak about companies, they're well documented. Large e-commerce sites that have replaced their human-driven customer service call centers with AI and had to retract that and bring the humans back in.
Yeah.
So we know that now, and what we're focused on is operationalizing what we've been doing for 30 years, which isn't creating AIs or software, or even necessarily the process of answering phone calls. It's managing that knowledge. Our belief and our strategy forward is to work at building and operationalizing and automating more of that knowledge lifecycle and knowledge management lifecycle to essentially bring more insights to the business than what they can get out of today's customer service call centers and IT help desks.
That makes a lot of sense, and that goes in the same wave as what David was saying the last time me and him spoke. Knowledge is probably the most important thing to do before implementing AI. And David's our CTO. He's our expert in this space. And having him on, I always learn some crazy new analogy or some crazy new fact about what it's capable of, what it's doing. So that makes sense that you're saying the same thing, the knowledge being probably the most important process. So when you slap AI on top of a broken knowledge base or a broken knowledge management and expect it to work, that never works.
It doesn't. Back to the 2 years ago, and the early news reports started reporting what were called hallucinations, what are still called hallucinations.
Yeah.
So this is where the LLM will derive an answer or a response that is not based on fact, but either correlating information that it's finding in different places or just wanting to please you. The LLM, in simple terms, it doesn't have the answer, so it looks for some way to please you in your question. Think, ChatGPT. It's commonly known as something that a tool that likes to please you with the answers.
It's always giving me a good job. That's a really good question. That's really smart of you to ask. It's It's very much being a little too friendly sometimes.
Yeah. The LLMs, Claude has its own personality.
I think Claude's way more straightforward.
Yeah. ChatGPT. Well, Claude's more, thoughtful about its response, more technical.
Yeah.
And it drills in further, whereas ChatGPT is more strategic in its responses and able to correlate more things to provide answers or recommendations.
Do you use any other ones besides those two?
Gemini.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use all three of those for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think GPT is a better writer. If I'm trying to send an email, I think Claude's a better everyday, this is what I'm doing, help me think of a strategy. And I think Gemini's best for deep research.
Yeah. I'm one of those old dogs. So I hooked onto OpenAI's ChatGPT first. And so I'm really deep in that.
I'm really deep in mine too. And I have trouble letting it go.
Yeah. It's we joke about that's little Ian or little Jeff. There's this term, second brain that's used in some articles today, where, that may be, all the different ways that AI could be going, but that may be where it's going 5 to 10 years from now, where each of us has our own human personality, our own human brain, but sitting over here next to us or in our computer is our second brain, which is essentially the AI replication or representation of us as individuals. An easy way to look at that, I believe Zoom is working on this, but an easy way to look at that is if you think about joining a Zoom meeting and there's your face and there's everyone's face as you're all talking. You were busy that day. You couldn't make it to that meeting, so you sent your AI second brain. And so your AI second brain pops into the screen. It knows most of the way you think, how you would answer questions, and it attends the meeting, taking notes, even responding.
Why wouldn't it do that for all meetings then?
Because of human in the loop. So
yeah.
Good question. You don't want a hallucination. So if your AI is attending the meeting and approving 2-week vacations for the entire company, you don't want that.
That would be bad.
So having guardrails is important. And then just making decisions. A lot of meetings require decision making.
Yeah.
So putting a guardrail on there as to, if the AI Jeff was asked a question, knowing that AI Jeff is not allowed to go into that area, but responding with, that's a great question. Let me get with human Jeff.
Yeah, easy guardrails. Yeah.
Get this information and I'll deliver it back to you guys later on today when I speak to him.
Yeah.
So think of it second brain or, the AI version of yourself. That could be, I don't fortune tell, but that could be where we're headed, where each of us individually has both our personal lives and our work lives contained in that second brain, and others, our friends, family, coworkers can interface with it. And if it goes beyond that, the knowledge of our second brain, it can then escalate to us or bring us into the conversation and answer it. That way I am able to focus on other meaningful things as opposed to attending a meeting where I'm answering the same question over and over again.
You've seen the show Severance,
yes.
Right? Yeah. You're pretty much describing what that is. But in its own way. I don't want Severance, personally.
Yeah.
It's a great show to watch. It's probably not something that we need to adopt into society.
Severance, I love the premise of Severance. I really do. I've gotten into that show. The difference is the problem that Severance solves is not wanting to remember or have the experience of work because it is so debilitating, so mind-numbing that no one wants to do it. And so those that sign up to be part of the Severance, they go up the elevator and they don't remember anything after they get to work, and they don't remember anything after they leave.
Yeah.
Which creates, if you've seen the show,
yeah.
Lots of problems, but not quite the second brain, but it's definitely segregating it into the personal life that I want to remember and have fun at,
yep.
And then the work life that I might find, evil or difficult.
Okay.
That's not me, by the way.
Yeah.
I get up every morning loving what I do.
Okay. Well, good. That is a great show.
It is.
So back to a little bit of knowledge. Here's something I had a bullet on that I want your take on. The pressure to deploy fast versus the cost of deploying wrong. it's not a question, it's a statement. What do you think about that? What
I think as business owners, this is a very dicey time, 2026. It is stressful. There is a lot of information that business leaders are having to absorb at a very quick pace, and it could change from week to week or day to day. The money that's being spent on AI infrastructure as a signal, for example, tells us as business leaders that this is here to stay. Trillions and trillions of dollars. So we have to look at these different signals that are out there. I mentioned earlier, some companies hiring their humans back.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of signaling out there, and we all, as business owners and leaders, we all have precious resources, money, and people, and our capabilities, and we have to deploy those in responsible ways. So it's really making that decision of, I call it, how are you going to tiptoe into this?
Yeah.
Without scaring clients away or spending money where it's not necessary, or doing an implementation that fails. And then you have to scrap it and then go back to the way it was.
Yeah. So eliminating friction on every single level that tool could touch.
Yes. That's where we're seeing success. When we look at organizations like ours or some of our clients, and we look for areas that are redundant, look for workflows that can be automated, and low risk areas that can be automated, operationalized by AI, keeping a human in the loop, and then deployed and managed. That's where we're seeing revenue, is in these easier workflows.
Yeah.
The AI that we're deploying today is what I would consider the simplest implementations. Those that answer the phone, with a nice voice. Those that gather intent. Why are you calling? Those that can gather some information. Can I have your name? Can I have your birth date? And then moving into some slightly more complex workflows like scheduling for an appointment, and then following up on that appointment or rescheduling folks for an appointment. So these are some areas where we're seeing a lot of success in enabling companies to take that redundant work off of their frontline workers. And again, we've been in this business for 30 years. We've been answering the phones for 30 years, taking very complex calls. But for the AI, think of it just like a new employee. They got to start small.
Yeah.
Let's get you started on answering the phone and answering a few easy questions. And then when the more difficult or moderately difficult questions come, we'll escalate that to a human. And then that's what we see as, those initial workflows get implemented, and then we target with the client more workflows, in sequence, and then they can kind of judge them and measure them as they get implemented and decide if they want to keep tiptoeing a little bit further into the ocean.
Good. That's a really great explanation of what we're doing. So thank you for that. The process on paper is different than the process in application. Is there a way to differentiate the two before it becomes an issue, or do you just have to test in the field, document, and then come back to write those governing documents?
Yeah. So because of our history, we're very knowledge centric, as we mentioned earlier. That knowledge centricity keeps us centered on having information that is very binary. Our clients have never accepted, and no one would ever expect them to accept, our agents, our customer service representatives, giving bad information.
Right.
When someone calls in and has a question, the expectation is that the answer is accurate and delivered in a kind, empathetic way, and provides a great customer experience. It's strange to me that with AI, that same expectation is assumed. Governance is assumed, context is assumed, and it's just not. So we're focused not on the answering of questions, if you will. We're more focused on how to govern that knowledge life cycle and how to make it, for organizations like insurance companies and healthcare providers, government agencies, organizations that just cannot tolerate hallucinations. They can't tolerate bad answers or going rogue or going off the rails or no guardrails. We're focused on how to develop systems that ensure those organizations will have answers for their customers that are accurate and don't go off the rails. But we are also building in the expectation that will happen every once in a while. And when it does, we will capture it and we will improve on it, thus making that part of a life cycle rather than something that folks just, they didn't expect it to happen. We do expect it to happen. And when it does, we have a way to govern that. That's the way we see knowledge being managed in the future. Yeah.
Every SLA can't be 100% all of the time. And I think you wrote something about that, I think titled that exact phrase quite a few years ago. So it's just a blog that talked about how we know nothing's 100%. We know there's going to be something that messes up. This is before AI, and we acknowledge that, but we still do the best we can and give you realistic, transparent answers.
Law of diminishing returns. Our clients feel like we are they know we're doing good when we're resolving 70% of the calls that come in without any escalation or any further conversation.
Are you saying 70?
70, 75, 80. The higher, the happier the customer is. Anytime a customer calls in and can get an answer without having to be sent somewhere else, they're going to be happy. So we're always trying to improve that. Well, how do you improve that first call resolution rate, which AI has to account for and humans have to account for? Well, you do that by having more answers. More accurate answers to more complex problems.
More answers is knowledge.
More answers builds knowledge, and having context to it and being able to troubleshoot it and find the right answer is also part of the knowledge equation. But you always have to deal with the law of diminishing returns. If you spend $100 to increase your first call resolution from 70 to 71%, it's going to cost you $200 to go from 71 to 73%. It's going to cost you $1,000 to get to 80, and it's going to cost you $100,000 to go from 80 to 90. To go from 90 to 100% is going to cost you millions. And that is the law of diminishing returns. You can't expect perfection out of humans, and you certainly can't expect it out of the AI.
Okay, that's the law of diminishing returns. I haven't heard that one, and if I have, I don't remember it.
I'm a poor father.
No.
I should have taught you this when you were 3.
Hey, in the ear, out the other. All right, so we covered that. So what our first call resolution rate for some clients is upwards of 92 to 95%.
Yes, on the customer service side.
On the customer
service is where you're not troubleshooting, you're answering. So think about a government agency. You're answering a phone call. They're asking a question about a tax form or a legal document, and there is a rote binary answer to that. IT help desk, there's troubleshooting involved. And so when you're dealing with IT systems that are connected, part of a network, there are a lot of different causes, and that causation has to be determined through troubleshooting, which increases the call time, and it also increases the number of times you have to escalate.
Do you think AI is going to increase that even higher, the percentages?
On the customer service side, no doubt. It's already doing that.
Okay.
On the IT help desk side, it will improve it. But how far it can is going to depend on, I think, where we're focused, which is having context to the knowledge.
Yes.
Is the LLM able to see context in the intent that the caller's calling in and reporting, and then using that context to actually find the proper knowledge to deliver? And if it can't deliver it, can it then stop halfway through realizing that it's not working and pivot over to another knowledge article, which is what a human would be doing? Hey, this isn't working. I need to go over here now. So that is a question that hasn't been answered yet.
And these so this LLM that's answering these questions, either voice or email, it's searching for it. It can't go outside of its knowledge base, right? It's in its own area. It can't go search the internet for why is this computer doing this and making this sound. It can't go search
Depending on how you configure it. I think you asked earlier about how are other companies finding success in AI or finding success, in the different LLMs that are out there. If you allow the LLM to go anywhere it wants, some of them were trained on Reddit, some were trained on the internet, some continue to be trained on that information.
David talked about this.
Yes. It's very broad.
Okay.
When I talk about healthcare organizations and government agencies, I'm talking about a lockdown system of knowledge, whereby it cannot go outside of the realm of what is in front of it, a very concise box. Yeah. And then that knowledge is used to drive the answers and all the things that we've talked about today with those guardrails. But at the end of the day, the LLM is able to see patterns and find the right knowledge articles quicker than the humans can and deliver those in a better fashion.
It can pick up on things that humans would never be able to pick up on.
Yes.
Like if there's something that comes in from one store having an issue every Wednesday at 2:00, maybe it calls in around 1:59 on a Wednesday, and it's probably assuming it's that same issue over and over again. Do you think it's doing that?
This is where
that predictability.
This is where you're hitting on, again, back to our focus. What we're focused on today. For decades, it's been extremely difficult for humans to recognize these types of patterns. Yeah. Whenever a human answers a phone call and resolves that call in a certain way that may not be exactly part of the knowledge, collecting and understanding the nuance to that additional information that they use to resolve it is next to impossible for humans to do. You would have to literally go through, we take tens of thousands of phone calls a week. Yeah. What human is going to go and listen to those calls and figure out, they, instead of going to step 7, they went to step 10 and it resolved it 90% more effective. Yeah. With AI, we can do that. Yeah. So in this knowledge life cycle and insights that, we're talking about and we're working to perfect, the LLMs and the AI allow us to process recorded phone calls, ticket information more quickly to raise those insights to the department or the division, which would be the service side of it. How do we make that knowledge on an ongoing basis better and better so that the next phone call that comes in is always a better experience? And then secondly, how do we raise those insights to the business? How can we look at the number of phone calls that are coming in regarding a specific call type, recognize that that is causing productivity. It could even be causing sales issues at our end users, and then gathering that data, raising that to the business so that they can make real business decisions about investing and removing that problem from their environment. Yeah. A lot of, IT departments, a lot of business departments, they don't know where to spend their money. And it's buried in these insights that we're talking about. If they can connect the end user experience, the folks that are calling in, texting in, asking questions, and it can process all of those interactions and then look at it from the perspective of what impact is this having on our business, those changes can then be picked off. They can be looked at as which one is costing us the most, and they can spend money on the things that will make the most impact on the business. We say that as a core part of all of this knowledge life cycle that we're talking about. Yeah.
And getting there is not just slapping a tool on top of pre-existing processes. Everything that you explained, revenue blocking issues for clients that have 1,000 stores nationwide, and one outage could cost them, hundreds of thousands of dollars an hour of downtime if people can't process their payments. So when it comes to back to the overarching theme of what me and you were talking about, being AI ready. AI is not like the strategy, it's the tool you use when your processes are already really good. So being AI ready is the most effective thing that you could do to what's a good word for proactively.
It's not that the processes are good, it's that they can be automated.
But how does what does a company need to do to be AI ready? What questions should they be asking to get to the point where, like, all right, we're comfortable with the process. Let's now instead of humans handling it, let's have AI and humans handle it for a better result. Those things that you were talking about.
Yeah. David can drill more into this, operationalizing the diagnostic part of AI. But I can tell you that it starts with readiness.
Yeah.
Is your data infrastructure ready? Is it available? Is there a unified data structure within your company? Because at the end of the day, it does require access to your systems.
Oh, yeah.
And without that, it literally cannot be successful. And I think beyond the data side of it, it's identifying workflows that can be automated. So, if there's a complex workflow, great example, if I'm an agent at Netfor and someone calls in and asks me a question and I follow a knowledge article and that knowledge article says step 7, go out to this system and change their password. Go out to this system and add this information and then do this and do that. That's called an integration. So instead of me just delivering information to the caller to solve their problem, I'm now having to go out and touch systems to resolve their issue. Think about a new employee onboarding.
Yeah.
I need to add them to the payroll system. I need to add them to the IT systems. I need to get them a badge. So all of those require integration. And so the more complex workflows are those that require integration.
Yep.
So the simple ones are those that just require passing along information. What are your store hours? They're 8 to 5. Oh, thanks.
Yep.
That's a very simple workflow.
Yeah.
Onboarding a new employee, not a simple workflow. So back to your question of AI readiness, you start with those simple workflows.
Okay. And we're probably going to close out soon. So any parting messages with AI readiness, what companies, local, nationally, should be doing before implementing tools? Just looking what you just said. Anything else?
Talk to those that have been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
From a human standpoint. Bad processes into AI just become bad AI. So, one of the advantages that we have with decades of experience is we're focused in an area, knowledge lifecycle management, that we've been doing for decades. And having that information and that knowledge allows us to take those processes and operationalize them. So whatever you're doing out there as a business, if you're looking at slapping AI onto it, as you said, before you do that, make sure the process is sound.
Yeah.
Make sure the humans can do the process before you expect the AI to. And then start on the less complex workflows before you add the more complex.
And how about the mindset? Should people go into it with a mindset being open or being fast or being quality driven? I think quality driven is the right answer instead of fast, but I know a lot of leaders, especially IT leaders and customer experience leaders, are under a lot of pressure to get AI integrated so they, like we started off, don't get left behind, or the easy answer from maybe execs that don't know what they're talking about, just slapping AI on a workflow, not knowing it's broken, is just going to lead to disaster. I know I went in two totally different directions when I just said that, but
you're really saying the same thing. I mean, the workflows and the knowledge are tantamount to the same thing. We discover workflows and knowledge, and we discover knowledge and workflows. So they're starting to conflate with one another. But having those conversations, early on, I think is the best way to look at it from a business standpoint. And then even the training. One of the things we're doing at Netfor that you're well aware of is as we've been training our managers on AI, we're not looking at it as success being you've now been trained on how to use an LLM. We're looking at success as you have now delivered your first outcome or your first deliverable assisted with the AI.
Yeah.
And that really is what it's all about today. Today, it's how can we use these tools to do the more redundant parts of our job so that we can elevate ourselves with our capacity and our education and our knowledge to do more valuable work.
Yeah.
Back to that second brain. I want the second brain working on the redundant mind-numbing work so that I can focus on the creative, decision-making, collaborative work that only humans can do.
Yeah. What's the first step? This can be your parting way. Anybody that
in the training?
Just in general, somebody wants to implement an AI tool. What's the first step?
Talk to someone that's done it.
Okay.
And I mean, you can look around. I think the companies that fail fast and that have failed at it are good companies also to talk to, because they've failed.
Yeah,
but
they've tried.
Yeah. And, some have given up. I'm just going to hire the humans, and I'm going to stay away from that tooling, and I'm going to let the market figure this out before I dip my toe back in.
Yeah.
But others, like us, we buy into failing fast. We try things, we A/B test, we move on to the next iteration.
Yep.
And it's been that way for 2 years. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, learn something more, look at the market, present it a little bit differently, look for improvements, and then just slowly step your way into a better model, if you will. And the AI will come. It's there to assist us. It's not there to take our job over.
Yep. I think that is a great phrase to leave this on. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for talking to me. You always school me in something, so I'm always learning.
Thanks for having me. My first podcast, so I've now got
certainly not your last.
the first one out of the way.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me in.